The jazz notes of a street saxophonist curled through the humid New Orleans air, but all I could hear was the thud of my own heart as I watched him laugh with my sister across the park. Marcus, with his easy grin and those dark eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories, had been a fixture in our lives for weeks, and I'd convinced myself he was hers. Then he looked at me, really looked, and everything I thought I knew unraveled. My name is Caleb Monroe, 24, a barista at a quirky French Quarter cafe, still figuring out who I am under the weight of my family's expectations. Growing up Black in a tight-knit Creole family, I learned early to keep parts of myself hidden, especially the part that stirred when I caught Marcus's gaze. My sister, Amara, 22, is the opposite, bold, unapologetic, the kind of woman who lights up rooms and, apparently, Marcus's attention. Or so I thought. That evening in Audubon Park, as the sun dipped low and painted the world gold, I was about to learn how wrong I'd been. Marcus Delgado, 26, a freelance photographer with a quiet intensity, had moved to New Orleans from Miami 6 months ago. His warm brown skin and tousled curls made him stand out, but it was his empathy, the way he listened like you were the only person in the world, that drew people in. Amara met him at an art gallery opening, and soon he was at our family dinners, charming everyone with stories of his travels. I assumed he was her latest fling, until that night. "Caleb, you're awfully quiet," Amara teased, tossing her braids over her shoulder as she leaned against a live oak. Marcus stood beside her, his camera slung around his neck, capturing candid shots of the park's evening crowd. I shrugged, kicking at the grass, trying to ignore the way my stomach flipped when he turned his lens on me. "Just tired," I lied, avoiding his eyes. The truth was, I'd spent weeks wrestling with feelings I didn't dare name. I wasn't out, not to Amara, not to our parents, not even to myself in any real way. New Orleans was progressive in pockets, but my family's church-going roots ran deep, and the fear of their judgment kept me silent. Marcus lowered his camera, his gaze softening. "You sure? You look like you're carrying the world, man." His voice was low, almost intimate, and I felt heat creep up my neck. Amara didn't notice, too busy scrolling her phone, but I did. I noticed everything about him. The way his lips curved, the faint scar above his eyebrow, the way he seemed to see through my defenses. Before I could answer, Amara's phone buzzed. "Ugh, it's Lena. She's freaking out about the gallery event tomorrow. I gotta go meet her." She hugged Marcus, then me, her perfume lingering. "You two behave, okay?" She winked, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, and jogged off toward the streetcar stop. The park felt quieter without her, the space between Marcus and me suddenly charged. We walked toward a bench near the lagoon, the air thick with the scent of magnolias. I sat, pretending to study the water, but my pulse raced. Why did he have to sit so close? Why did his knee brush mine, sending sparks through my skin? "You're not much for small talk, are you?" Marcus said, his tone playful but curious. He set his camera down, giving me his full attention. I swallowed, my mouth dry. "Not when I'm trying to figure someone out," I admitted, surprising myself. His laugh was soft, almost nervous, and he leaned closer, his shoulder grazing mine. "Maybe I'm not so hard to figure out," he said, his voice dropping. "Or maybe you're looking in the wrong places." I turned, our faces inches apart. His eyes held mine, steady and searching, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just us. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, then leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "I'm not dating Amara, Caleb. I never was. I've been trying to get you to notice me for weeks." My heart stopped. The words hung between us, heavy with possibility. I wanted to laugh it off, to call it a joke, but the sincerity in his eyes pinned me in place. "You're serious," I said, more to myself than to him. Dead serious, he replied, his hand brushing mine on the bench. I'd rather be the one taking you home tonight. The world tilted. Every doubt, every fear I'd buried, rushed to the surface. I wasn't ready for this. Not for him, not for what it meant. But as his fingers laced with mine, tentative but sure, I felt something shift. For the first time, I let myself imagine what it might be like to stop hiding. We sat there as the sky darkened, the park's lights flickering on. Marcus didn't push, didn't ask for more than I could give. But his hand stayed in mine, a quiet promise. I didn't know what came next, only that I couldn't go back to pretending. The next morning, I woke to the smell of chicory coffee and the weight of last night's confession. Marcus's words echoed in my head, each syllable a spark that both thrilled and terrified me. I lay in my cramped apartment above the cafe, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd dreamed it all. Work was a blur. The cafe buzzed with tourists and locals, their chatter a dull roar against my racing thoughts. I spilled espresso twice, earning a raised eyebrow from my boss, Miss Clara, a no-nonsense woman who'd known me since I was a kid. "You all right, Caleb?" she asked, her voice sharp but kind. "Fine," I mumbled, wiping down the counter. But I wasn't. Every time the door chimed, I half expected Marcus to walk in, his camera in hand, that disarming smile aimed at me. He didn't show, and the disappointment stung more than I cared to admit. By afternoon, I was a mess of nerves. I texted Amara, hoping to gauge if she suspected anything. Her reply was typical. "Lena's event is tonight at the gallery. Marcus is shooting it. You coming?" My stomach nodded. I hadn't told her about last night, and the thought of facing Marcus in a crowd, especially with her there, felt like walking into a storm. The gallery was in the warehouse district, a sleek space with exposed brick and modern art that screamed money. I arrived late, slipping in through a side door, my heart pounding. The room was packed, the air thick with wine and pretension. Amara was in her element, schmoozing with artists and curators, her laughter cutting through the noise. And there was Marcus, crouched near a sculpture, his camera trained on a couple posing for him. He looked focused, professional, but when he glanced up and saw me, his expression softened and my breath caught. "Caleb," Amara waved me over, oblivious to the tension. "You made it." Marcus was just telling me about his new project. Something about capturing raw emotion, right? Marcus nodded, his eyes flicking to me. "Yeah, real moments, no filters. The kind that change you." I forced a smile, my palms sweaty. "Sounds intense." "It is," he said, holding my gaze a beat too long. Amara didn't notice, already distracted by a friend calling her name. She excused herself, leaving us alone in the crowd. "You didn't text me back," Marcus said quietly, stepping closer. His voice was steady, but there was a vulnerability in his eyes that mirrored my own. I didn't know what to say, I admitted, shoving my hands in my pockets. "Last night it's a lot." "I know." He lowered his camera, his expression earnest. "I didn't mean to blindside you, but I meant every word." I wanted to believe him, to let myself fall into whatever this was. But the weight of my family, my faith, my own fears, it was a wall I didn't know how to climb. "Marcus, I don't even know if I'm ready to be who you think I am." He stepped closer, his voice low. "I don't think you're anything, Caleb. I see you, and I like what I see." My throat tightened. Before I could respond, a crash echoed across the gallery. A waiter had dropped a tray of glasses, and the room erupted in gasps and laughter. Marcus instinctively raised his camera, capturing the chaos, but his eyes kept darting back to me. "Let's get out of here," he said suddenly, grabbing my hand. "Just for a bit." I hesitated, glancing at Amara, who was busy helping the waiter. Against my better judgment, I nodded. We slipped out a back door into an alley, the night air cool against my flushed skin. The city hummed around us, streetcars clanging, music spilling from bars, but all I could focus on was Marcus, standing close enough that I could smell his cologne. "I'm not asking you to have all the answers," he said, his voice soft but firm. "I just want you to give this a chance. To give us a chance." I looked at him, really looked, and saw the hope in his eyes, the same hope I felt flickering inside me. For the first time, I let myself imagine saying yes. The next week was a whirlwind of stolen moments and sleepless nights. Marcus and I met in secret, coffee at a dive bar in Bywater, late-night walks along the Mississippi, his hand brushing mine in ways that felt both forbidden and right. Each touch, each smile, chipped away at the walls I'd built, but the fear never left. What would Amara think? What would my parents say if they knew their son was falling for a man? One evening, we ended up at a quiet jazz club in Treme, the kind of place where the music wraps around you like a warm blanket. Marcus leaned close, his shoulder against mine, as the saxophone wailed. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the music. I nodded, staring at my drink. "All the time, like I'm playing a role for everyone else's sake." He turned to me, his eyes intense. "You don't have to play it with me." I wanted to kiss him right there, in front of everyone, but the thought of eyes on us, judging, assuming, froze me. Instead, I squeezed his hand under the table, my heart racing. "I'm trying," I whispered. He smiled, but there was a flicker of sadness in it. "I know, and I'll wait." That patience, that quiet strength, was what scared me most. Marcus wasn't pushing, wasn't demanding I be someone I wasn't ready to be. But every moment with him made it harder to stay in the shadows. The next day, disaster struck. Amara cornered me at the cafe, her eyes narrowed. "You've been weird, Caleb. And don't think I haven't noticed you and Marcus sneaking off together." My stomach dropped. "It's not what you think," I said too quickly. She crossed her arms. "Then what is it? Because you're acting like you're hiding something, and I don't like being left in the dark." I wanted to tell her, to spill everything, but the words stuck. Amara was my best friend, but she was also my sister, tied to the same family expectations that suffocated me. "We're just friends," I lied, hating myself for it. She didn't buy it, but she didn't push. "Whatever's going on, you better figure it out. Marcus is a good guy. Don't mess him around." Her words haunted me as I walked home. The city's vibrant chaos a stark contrast to the storm in my head. That night, I called Marcus, my voice shaking. "I don't know if I can do this. Amara's suspicious, and if she finds out, it'll get back to my parents, and—" "Caleb," he interrupted, his voice steady. "Breathe. We'll figure it out together. You don't have to do this alone." His words were a lifeline, but they also terrified me. Because together meant admitting I wanted this, wanted him, in a way I'd never allowed myself to want anything before. The breaking point came at a family dinner 2 weeks later. My parents' house in Gentilly was filled with the usual chaos. Mom's gumbo simmering, Dad arguing about politics, Amara teasing our cousins. Marcus was there, invited by Amara, and every glance he sent my way felt like a secret we couldn't keep much longer. After dinner, I slipped outside to the porch, needing air. Marcus followed, his presence both a comfort and a challenge. "You okay?" he asked, leaning against the railing. "No," I admitted, my voice raw. "I'm scared, Marcus. Of what this means, of what they'll think." He stepped closer, his hand finding mine. "I'm scared too, but I'd rather face it with you than pretend this doesn't exist." Before I could respond, the screen door creaked. Amara stood there, her eyes wide. "Caleb? Marcus?" Time froze. I pulled my hand away, but it was too late. Amara's expression shifted from shock to understanding, then to something softer. "Oh," she said quietly. "This is what you've been hiding." "Amara, I started, but she held up a hand. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her voice cracked, not with anger, but with hurt. I'm your sister. Did you think I wouldn't get it? Tears stung my eyes. I didn't know how. I didn't want to lose you. She crossed the porch, pulling me into a hug. You're not losing me, idiot. I just want you to be happy. Marcus watched, his eyes shining with relief. Amara turned to him, smirking. And you? Next time, don't let him overthink everything, okay? He laughed, the sound breaking the tension. Deal. The conversation with my parents was harder. Later that night, I sat them down, Marcus by my side. My voice shook as I told them who I was, who I loved. Mom cried. Dad was silent, but they listened. It wasn't acceptance, not yet, but it was a start. Months later, Marcus and I walked through Audubon Park again, hand in hand, no secrets left to keep. The saxophonist was back, his music weaving through the air. I looked at Marcus, his smile brighter than the sunset, and felt a peace I'd never known. I thought you were dating my sister, I said, laughing. He grinned, pulling me close. And I thought you'd never let me take you home. We kissed under the oaks, the world fading away. Love, I learned, wasn't about fitting into someone else's story. It was about writing your own, one truthful moment at a time.